Well, let's have a little testimonial time. I was scrolling this app the other night, and one of my friends, uh, TikTok friends, was asking if other people have any examples of prayer being answered in their life. And it sounded like he was really struggling with, I don't know, with faith, with prayer, with something like that. And so he was asking for examples if that moved in your life at all. And, then today, Pastor AJ was talking about, just to paraphrase, because he's way better with words than I am, but basically saying, are we just showing up to church on Sunday and calling ourselves Christians? Or are we out talking to people about Jesus and about our faith all week long? Are we making that known to people? Or are we just kind of putting Jesus in a box, up on the shelf all week and then bringing him out on Sunday when we go to church? And that really kind of hit me. And, it got me thinking about just a very recent thing that happened, evidence of prayers being answered for me in my life. And I pray every night before I go to bed for a restful night's sleep and to wake up the next morning, air in my lungs, and another day to walk in his glory. So, every day I wake up, my prayers are answered. But beyond that, I have long had a bit of a short temper, especially with parenting. I kind of had the military drill instructor style of parenting with my kids. And, whether it was always right, sometimes it worked, sometimes it didn't, but I never really, looking back, was happy about how hard I was on my kids once in a while. And so that was something that I began to pray for, was patience with my children. And, I wanted to do better. I wanted to be a better parent. I wanted to be more present and not just be that person, teaching them right and wrong and giving them constant instruction. And, I just wanted a different approach to it. And so I began praying for patience. And, this was a while ago, maybe, 5-6 months ago, maybe, that I started really consciously praying about it on a regular basis. And so then last week we had something happen here at the house. And I was out watering the flowers, and my wife came walking up to me with my son and says, okay, you need to tell Dad what happened. And, you could tell he was definitely nervous, but he completely told me everything that happened. And what that was a baseball going through a garage window. In fact, that window right there with the cardboard over it. And not that long ago, my instant reaction probably would have been to yell, would have been something like, why can't anybody listen to me? I tell you guys not to throw balls around, the windows or around the patio or what have you, right? I would have just yelled at him. And instead, I just looked at him and I said, well, thank you for telling me. Mom and I need to come up with a punishment for you. I don't know what that'll be yet. But for now, we cannot go to the park and play baseball. We need to go clean up this mess. And I said, after we clean this up and I patch the hole so that we don't get any birds or bats in the garage or anything, if there's time, then we'll still go to the park. And so he said, okay. And so we came back here, we cleaned this up. I found some cardboard to screw over the window for now. And we went to the park. We played baseball, did all the things, had a good time. And that night, Carrie made a post on Facebook showing me and my son playing, and commented that she was thankful for me in the kids' lives and being the dad that I am, and pointing out that I could have just completely yelled at the kid for it, but instead there wasn't a bit of yelling. This is how we handled it. She explained it, and everything was great. And so, it didn't hit me until after I read that. And I went and I talked to my pastor about it the very next day. And I said, it wasn't even like I had to hold the yelling back. It wasn't like, I was going to yell and I caught myself or anything. It didn't even cross my mind to yell. I simply listened, explained to him, what happened, We a little while later, we said, we're going to have some chores for you to do to work off the cost of that window. And, he was very accepting of that and said, okay. And, so that right there hit me that was my prayers being answered. God listened to me and knew that I wanted to be a better parent. And you don't even, it's not like somebody coming and handing you an award and saying, here you go, I'm gonna give you this, good job, whatever. It just happens. He works in mysterious ways. But going back to what my pastor said, there's not enough of us talking about this, right? Like, we talk amongst ourselves. We talk to people at church who say, oh, my prayers were answered for X, Y, Z, any number of reasons. But how often do we come and tell other people about it? And, he really makes a good point that we need to be getting onto these platforms and telling people, showing people how God works in our lives. And, we know how wonderful it is to live with the peace and the faith that he brings us. Other people can't experience that if we don't tell them about this, if we don't invite them into it. And so, this is, as a lifelong introvert, this is very hard for me to do. And I know I kind of bumble my way through sometimes, but, it really hit me that, people aren't going to know if we don't come on here and tell them. So I encourage you to do the same. Either comment, share your story with me. I love talking to people about it. It's amazing when we come together as a community and discuss how this moves in our lives and then show other people how it moves. So that's my testimonial for the day. Thanks for listening. And I'm going to try and do this more often because God moves in my life every single day. And I hope he does yours too.